Harihi Om. Om Sri Sadguru Paramatmane Namaham. Divyatman, my beloved seekers of the truth, let us discuss as advised by our beloved and worshipful Gurudev Sri Swami Shivananda Ji Maharaj and further elaborated by our worshipful Gurudev Sri Swami Chidananda Ji Maharaj, the importance of Brahmacharya. Gurudev in his 20 spiritual instructions says, preserve this vital force very, very carefully. Virya is God in motion or manifestation. Vibhuti. Virya is all power. Virya is all money. Virya is the essence of life, thought and intelligence. In the Hindu tradition, three great principles or qualities have been laid down as fundamental practices for spiritual development. They are Ahimsa, Satyam and Brahmacharya, that is non-injury, truthfulness and chastity. Yadi moksham ichchasi chet tata vishayan vishavatyaja brahmacharyam ahimsa cha satyam piyusavat bhaja. If you desire your highest blessedness, give up like poison desire for sensual enjoyment and pleasures, and like nectar receive into your life the triple virtues of chastity, non-injury and truthfulness. Down the ages, this has come to be the cardinal doctrine of the higher life. Within the context of the Christian faith, the prophetic religion that formed itself around the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth, faith, hope and charity are lauded as cardinal virtues. Within the context of this religion, there is also the order of renunciation, the Christian monastic tradition. In this monastic tradition, three great vows are indispensable. They are poverty, chastity and obedience. That is the monastic vow. That is the vow of the monks and priests in seminaries as well as the vow of the nuns in convents. This also existed in the pre-Christian Roman times when for the mystical oracle of Delphi, it was only virgins who were qualified to perform the high task of divining the will of God and guiding man. This they proclaimed in a state of spiritual trance. These unmarried maidens were dedicated to God and this task, and it was believed that it was only in the pure minds and hearts of these virgins that God revealed His sacred will. They were called Vestal Virgins of Delphi. So the tradition of Brahmacharya, that is chastity, self-control, sex purity, didn't commence from Christianity. It must have already been there within the tradition of Judaism as well. Long before, during the time of Buddha, who preceded Jesus by more than 500 years, the doctrine of chastity was a necessary preparation and foundation for the life of renunciation, asceticism and yoga for the seeker of the great reality or the attainment of enlightenment or wisdom. This foundation was recognized by Buddha. The young prince living in a palace with his young wife and baby Rahul left everything and went into the forest. That great renunciation, great tyaga was wonderfully brought out by Sir Edwin Arnold in his Light of Asia, a poetical presentation of Buddha's great life, career and attainment. Thus, it is something that has been handed down to humanity from time immemorial. It's a part of global heritage from various diverse directions and sources. Far back, even before Zoroaster or Buddha, The ancient prophets of the Upanishads proclaim the same thing. We hear mentioned in the Vedic age of Indra and Virochana approaching Brahma for instructions, and Brahma sending them back to observe Brahmacharya for so many years. Then come and ask me, I shall give you some knowledge, part of my knowledge. So they go and observe the vow of celibacy for so many years and come back. Then he gives them a part of the truth. After he says, now go back and observe celibacy for some more years and come back, because it is necessary to grasp the concept of that which is beyond the grasp of the mind and the senses, beyond speech and thought. They were unable to grasp it. A gross mind which is identified with the body, with the senses, and with the sense appetites, and which is enslaved by the pleasure principle only, is unfit to think of the abstract and abstruse ideas and concepts. A mind that has become gross due to the progressive increase of rajas and tamas becomes unfit and naturally spiritual life and practices are a far cry to that individual. Mind must become attenuated, it must become very fine. There should be no grossness, desires, attachments and cravings in it. A certain psychic fitness, that is fineness, is of utmost importance. Therefore, this process of purification, the rising from the gross to the subtle, is the essence of the concept of Brahmacharya. The sage Rishishringa was established in Brahmacharya when a whole kingdom was threatened by famine due to a drought. The king was deeply concerned. People were in great fear and anxiety. Then some sages advised that if this great man, who was established in the vow of absolute celibacy and continence, could be brought to the kingdom into the royal city, then the heavens would bless them with rain. So they induced him to come. Thus the famine and possible death due to starvation of countless people was averted. Long, long ago, our Puranic scripture, Srimad Bhagavat Mahapurana, has given the highest place for a great lady who was a paragon of virtue and chastity and total fidelity to her husband. Never did a thought of any other man cross her mind even in dream or imagination. So much so that the great cosmic deities, the creator, the preserver and the dissolver, Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, had to admit her greatness and confess that they had failed in trying to shake her from her firm adherence to chastity. When they tried to test her, she was given a crucial test, maybe to glorify this great quality of chastity. She became immortal. Sati Anasuya, the mother of the Trimurtis, incarnated as one avatar, that is Sri Dattatreya, who is regarded as the Adi Guru. And it is therefore this concept of conserving a dynamic biological force within the human system and converting it into a higher, subtler force through sublimation, conservation, preservation, and taking it higher into the psyche in the form of a very, very refined subtle energy, psychical energy called Ojas. Ojas means that which is radiant, that which shines, that which is effulgent. This wise technique, a scientific method of converting the gross into the subtle, physical into the spiritual, psychic into the spiritual, was evolved by the great sages of yore. Hari Om Tat Sat. Jai Gurudev. Om.